we are very excited about this one. We've gotten a lot of questions about headsets, webcams, audio. How does my video work? What about my phone? What about my laptop? All that kind of stuff. So we're going to kind of talk about all of those things and the things that we would recommend, how we're set up.
I will share out what mine looks like. So
Mhm.
here is what my beautiful rig looks like.
Beautiful.
So let me just get the laser kind of going here. So this is my laptop. I have a Surface Book Pro 2. It's a higher end laptop, not something that necessarily the everyday user would want to use. But Microsoft does have different products out there. They do have the Surface Pro, and then this is the Surface Book. So that's kind of like the big daddy. But the Surface Pro is smaller. It's more comparable to the MacBook Air, things like that. One of the nice features about it is right here, you see this is the docking station. So that's the only thing that I really need to plug into my laptop in order for it to function as a desktop. So what do I mean by that? So I sit down and I connect this little device to the side of my computer. So it's right here. Can you see that good, Kaylee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So it just snaps in, and once it does, all of this becomes live. So this monitor and that monitor now comes alive. The keyboard, the mouse comes alive. My headset comes alive. I have some speakers that are hidden behind here that you can't see. Those now become live. And that lets me be able to work more efficiently like it's a regular desktop. Now, I went with a 15-inch screen on mine just because if I wanted to just sit on the couch or use it out in the wild, my eyes are kind of going. I needed a larger screen. I can't see things. that 13-inch monitor can be a little challenging on the surface for me to be able to see. So I went with a larger screen, and it's large enough that I actually use it as a third screen. So with this option, I have 1, 2, 3 screens, with this being my main, not my laptop. I want this to be my main. So that's why you see my start button here, all my icons here, and my clock here, and my keyboard and mouse. So then I can take applications and move some over here to the left, take some and move them over to the right, and then I'm ready to rock. And I can do this just as easily from home. So how does this happen? The docking station is really kind of the beauty about it. Now, these docking stations that I use are distributed by Microsoft, so they only work with Microsoft products. But most laptop manufacturers do have some sort of docking station that you can do this. Now, most of them won't be as elegant as this one. I'll show you what the docking station looks like. It looks like this. So this is the docking station here. And so this is the power. So this goes out to the wall. This gives it power. Or actually, no, this goes to my laptop. This right here, you can't see it, but this plugs into my laptop. And this gives it power. This goes in the wall. Here's my network cable, right? So when I plug in, I might be wireless, but as soon as I plug in, it's boom, Ethernet now. So now I'm not using the wireless anymore. I have a little bit more of a reliable connection. You know, maybe in the area where you're setting up your workstation, you may not necessarily have the most wireless, but if you had a network connection directly in that spot, that'd be better. And here's my monitors. So here's my 2 monitors right here.
Right.
This goes to monitor 1 and this goes to monitor 2. And that's my mouse. That's for my headset right there. And this other USB one goes to my monitor, I believe. So that's kind of how my rig is set up. Part of the reason why I went with this configuration here, let me just switch back to the larger screen, is I wanted to be portable. I wanted to be able to sit down, dock it, immediately start working like I'm having a desktop experience. And then I wanted to uncradle it, put it in my bag, and hit the road. Now, what you can do is you can have 2 of these docking stations, one at work and one at home. And you can have multi-monitor setups. What's nice about that is then you don't have to see, well, I need to get access to my laptop or my desktop so that I can do work. But basically your desktop follows you because it's mobile. You take it with you. So this is the preferred method. But a desktop unit is like $600. A
Mhm.
Surface Pro is $900,
Mhm.
So that's where a lot of people still want to go with the desktop. Typically, desktops, because you're not moving them around and throwing them in a bag and stuff, are going to last a little bit longer than some of these mobile devices. So for people that don't really need that mobility, a desktop unit is still a solid choice, and you're not paying that extra money for it. But if you
Right.
do have mobility, this is the concept that you want to go with.
Kind of what it looks like right now. Uh, it's a lot more simple, right? You can see my headset is right here. My webcam is right here. My screen. The one difference I will say about our screens, I only have one, but mine is bigger. Mine's 28-inch.
Oh,
So yeah. I'm just kidding. No, so the reason I'm pointing this out is because for me, I get stressed looking at like 20 different, monitors. For some people, they want that. For my dad, he thrives with the 3 monitors. For me, it would scare me. So what I usually do, and I'm going to show you how I set up my screen. I usually split my screen, just that one big screen, just because it helps me and I know that it's all in that one screen. This is what normally my setup would look like. And then I have my headset that's on the side. It's in a drawer. And then my keyboard and mouse. Now I wanted to show this example. My keyboard and mouse are tucked away in a drawer and I pull them out when I need them because they are Bluetooth. So I have a Bluetooth keyboard and a Bluetooth mouse
yes.
at home. I'm saying this because I know some of you guys have kids, and it might be a struggle sometimes when they're like, ooh, tick, 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 right? And they're just tapping away and trying to mess with your stuff. That is why I brought that up. I have cats, so that's the reason why I do that, is because they love to sit right on my keyboard and mess things up. So I'll just put it away and then pull it out when I'm ready. So I just wanted to show you guys that.
It's a really useful technique when you have larger screens like what Kaylee's talking about. You can start to really realize it and utilize it.
So what I do is just drag this all the way to the side and see how that little box comes up. And then it says, which one do you want on the other side? And I'm just going to go, I want this on the other side. It's going to talk about our Zoom meeting. And then I do this. And then you can also go like this and move them to the side.
It didn't show that action because it was
Oh, that's such a shame.
yeah.
You click on the top of the window, drag it all the way to the side, and then let go.
Yeah. So it's like one motion. So you hold the top like you would like what she's doing right there, like holding on top of where it says document 1, and she drags it while holding the left click all the
Mhm.
way to the right corner.
Mhm.
And it does this little motion where it goes boop. It kind of like
Yeah.
it makes this like invisible, not invisible, but like this border. And you can do
Mhm.
that with your screen right now while we're doing it. So
Yeah.
if you want to, you can kind of play with it. But as soon as it does that and says, okay, it mathematically knows where the middle of your screen is. So it splits it in
Yes.
half and it says, okay,
Mhm.
what do you want to put on the other half?
This is gonna be what it looks like in Zoom. So you guys will see this. This is why I'm taking pictures. I can't show you Zoom while I'm inside Zoom. We've learned that. We
And
cannot
that's why we do Zoom, because we do a lot of stuff about Teams, and
Teams.
and if you're in a Teams meeting with us, then you can't play around with Teams. So we use
Yes.
Zoom um, for that reason, a big part of that reason.
Yes, yes. So this is going to be at the bottom left of your screen, and you can see the video, stop video, unmute, those buttons. If you click on those little arrows pointing up, then you can see the settings for those things. You use the arrow to the right of the mute, unmute button to go to the audio settings. So you can see there's a section for microphones and there's a section for speakers. So if you have speakers plugged in, you can choose those if you'd rather them go through that, or you can select your microphone if you have that. it'll be sectioned off.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be the name of the microphone or the speakers that you have. So you should be able to differentiate. And then the right of the video recording, you will go and click that and it would be broken up and it would show you where you can play your video from. A lot of people will only have one thing, but if you have multiple things, all of those will be labeled. What I want to show first, when you go to join a Zoom, a Teams meeting, you will see this little screen. The screen has options at the bottom where you can do phone audio, audio off, or add a room. But
Holy cow, I just realized that, add a room.
yes, add a room. It's
What?
cool. You can basically branch off into a little room with you and another person or you and another group away from the meeting itself.
Is that
You
new?
have, like,
Did they just add that?
yeah. Yeah, it's newer.
Man, they're always changing that.
I know. So the little gear and the PC mic and speakers is what I wanted to show you guys. This is where you can change your audio and where it's coming from before you go into the meeting, which is so helpful because you can figure all that junk out before you hop into the meeting. So this is where I would recommend to do it. Stop at this screen, click on that to go to the settings, and make sure that you have everything right before you hop into the meeting.
Nice. Good point.
If
Very
you
good point.
forget to, though, literally the setup is so similar to Zoom. Like there's a little bottom part and you click on that, the up arrow, same kind of idea. It's also inside.
What's the little toggles next to it? Looks like a little video camera and then the mic. Is that actually muting and changing the video on those? Like, can you actually enable or disable those before you
Yeah,
join?
so you can, it's not enabling or disabling. What it's doing is it's setting up how you would like to join the meeting. So it's saying, would you like your audio on when you join, or would you like it off when you join? Or would you like your video on when you join or off when you join?
So if you have your kids on a 4-alarm fire tirade behind you screaming and yelling, and you just want to join into the meeting and don't join in the meeting with the audio turned on so everybody hears the you can just go boop and join, and then they're like, oh, Bobby joined the meeting, that's great.
And then you join in incognito because you don't show up on the main screen if you're not making any noise. So yeah, okay, so that's pretty simple. Again, I would recommend to change those settings before you go into the meeting is what I would recommend. The thing that we're just going to talk about is recommendations. What we would recommend for the average person working from home. I just want to say that you can get away, with using your laptop and just that audio. It won't sound as good. The video quality on that laptop might not be as good, or it might be better, depending on what laptop you have. But the thing that I would recommend for everyone is to have a webcam, to have headphones, and I would recommend the ones like what we're having, where it blocks out the sound, because especially right now, you are probably not alone at home. So being able to block out all that noise and feel like you're in a room with somebody really helps the experience, really helps you communicate and connect and feel like you're still in an actual meeting with someone and not at home. Also, the webcam gives you that same kind of feeling. You can, instead of seeing little huge pixels of that person because your webcam is not that good, get a good webcam so you can see them. It's like you're face to face. It's like you're talking with them and you're really in a room with them. So what I would recommend is Logitech is there's so many options that you can get with a Logitech webcam. There's so many. And I feel like it's hard to go wrong once you hit like over the $30 limit, would you say?
Yeah, I agree.
Like you really can't go wrong with those. It just depends on what you would rather do. Now, I have Corsair. Corsair is Corsair headphones.
Like the plane.
These are these are actually really cheap, and they work super well.
Yeah, that would
My
be yours headset would be my recommendation, or the one that Jackie has. Do you know which one that she had? They were
Yeah,
inexpensive, and the audio quality is pretty good.
I'm
Now,
trying to remember.
I don't want to speak to how expensive these are. It's obscene how
Yeah,
much I paid for these.
yeah,
These are Astro high-end gaming headsets. So you do not want to go with what I have unless you're planning on playing games, which I do, and you need high fidelity audio that has good surround sound because you want to know if someone's about to get you in the back so that you can turn
right,
around because you don't want them to shoot you in the back. So, but
right,
for web and Zoom meetings, not as relevant. So the
exactly.
headsets that you have, even in a gaming perspective, are very solid. The difference
Yeah,
between hers and mine is not worth the money, in my
yeah,
opinion. But I was a noob when I was getting into the headset game. So
yeah. Yeah, Corsairs again, there's a lot of options for Corsairs. There's so many different ones. You can even get wireless, or mine is wired, my husband's is wireless. So that just means if you're like my husband, where you like to pace around when you're talking with somebody or stand up randomly in a meeting and walk around, then I would recommend not going with the wired.
I've done
but
that. I've done that. I'm good at
but
walking.
yeah, I'm standing still most of the time, so I'm fine with just the little wired ones, and they're a little bit cheaper.
Let me share why I like to go with the wired.
Hmm.
The big reason I went wireless first. And when I've done a full day's work and getting my headset game on, a lot of times I
Hmm.
like to listen to music while I'm working too. So just because I'm not in a meeting, am I not using my headset because I'll be listening to music because all hell's breaking loose perhaps in the house, and I want to just be able to kind of zone stuff out and focus and work. Um, so because of that, then by close to end of day, that battery's starting to run low.
Right.
So and then over a few years, the battery starts to die in those.
Hmm.
And the length of the battery, just like on your cell phones, like when you have your iPhone, the battery lasts forever, and then after
Mm.
3 or 4 years, you're like, wait a minute, I remember having this thing last a lot longer. Well, it's just because batteries, their efficiency degrades over time, and
Yeah.
your headset is the same way. Now, the Corsair's battery life is very good, but you may, if you find that you do plan on using it perhaps for gaming or some other stuff other than just work, if you're planning on seriously getting your headset game on for
Hmm.
6-7 hours, in a day, you probably want to go corded, because
Yeah.
then
That's a
you
great
could
point.
run all day every day and you have no concern.
Yeah. And that goes to say, talking about the long hours and stuff like that. This kind of headset is really really helpful when you're doing that kind of stuff, where you're in Zoom meetings for hours on end. It's very easy to put on. It doesn't like hurt your head or feel uncomfortable. It's just, you get used to it. It's just there. But again, if you have something like this, like a headset, I would also recommend having little speakers for if you just want to play,
Right.
your audio. But if you have a laptop, you wouldn't really have to do that. But if you have a desktop, I would recommend having speakers as well. And that does not mean, oh my gosh, is that another $80 that I have to spend? No, you can get very cheap speakers that are super nice. I have some that I got for 30 bucks, and they're just
Hmm.
cute little white circles that are just sitting there, and they work so well. So it's really easy. It doesn't, it's not
And
very
that's nice, like too, if you want to get in a Zoom meeting, right?
yeah.
And you're not really going to be an active participant. Maybe you want to get up and move around the cabin, raise your seat and trade the full upright position and move around the cabin because you might want to be preparing breakfast because the meeting started early and you don't have your video on, but you
Right.
just turn the speakers up and you just want to hear what everybody's saying. And if then someone says, "Is that right, Bobby?" and you're like, "Oh crap," and then you kind of run in and go, "Yep, sounds right," and then you
And
and
then
then
you just
you
go right back.
go back to doing whatever. So that kind of allows you to do that. But then whenever you want to get your full on webinar, then grab your headset, like
Mhm.
Kaylee showed you, switch the audio to your
Mhm.
headset, so you can
Mhm.
switch it to the speaker and switch it to the audio, and they'll never be the wiser.
Yeah. And it's really efficient too for you.
Yep.
Getting things done. So I'm gonna leave the floor open just for a little bit. Does anybody
I want to
have?
show something else. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, but I'll recommend if you guys have questions, feel
Yeah.
free to start asking them
I want to talk
ahead of
about
time.
sourcing of webcams and headsets, because I think some people may be still trying to purchase those, and I want to give some recommendations on where they might be able to do that so they don't get gouged.
Yeah, you do not want to pay $100 for something that's usually 50.
Yeah. So let me
Ugh.
share my screen here. I think some people have said, "Hey Bobby, this is challenging. What do
Mhm.
I do?" Okay. So like Kaylee said, Logitech webcams are legit. I like
Mhm.
those. Those are a good choice. I mean,
Mhm.
there are plenty of others out there, and they will work
Mhm.
probably about as good. But we just like going with Logitech because it's a known quantity,
Yeah.
and it's not like a Mercedes where now they do have some Mercedes lines, as you can see here, and some of these they get pretty pricey. But
Mhm.
if you go to Amazon and you're like, I want to get a Logitech camera, as you start to scroll, some of these are pretty pricey. Like this 525, which is an older model, it's selling for 178 bucks right now.
So crazy.
Now, if I
Yeah.
go to Best Buy, this is not this is a little, a different brand. It's 40 it's 40 bucks.
That
But
is so
look,
crazy.
look, it is um I think it's, yeah, sold out. So that's why they're doing that. So
Mhm.
Amazon's like, well, if you want to buy this unit, you're gonna have to pay
Mhm.
178 bucks because you can't really get it at Best Buy. So
Right.
that's where the first place that I would go to try to buy these products would be like Best Buy, Walmart, Office Depot, Office
Yeah.
Max,
They
places like
can't
that.
jip your price, like
Right.
change it like that.
They're more reputable companies, and supply and demand affects them a lot less. Now,
Mhm.
technically, they could raise their prices if they wanted to, but because they're such a larger organization, they typically people will call them out on that. Whereas
Mhm.
Amazon is pure supply and demand driven.
Yeah.
So the price can go up and you can get totally gouged, and it can even go down some, right? And
Right.
you can get cheaper prices than you would get at Best Buy or
Right.
Office Max or some of these other places.
Mhm.
Well, right now, it's like toilet paper out there for the head cams and the headsets and those other things. So you have to be super careful. So
Yeah.
what I would do is look at some different products like Logitech or some of the other ones that are out there,
Mhm.
and you can just do a search for the webcams. Let me back up here. So let's just do a webcam in general, right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to do that under Best Buy. And some of these may actually be in stock, right? That see it sold out. It's a sea of sold out. Look at that. It's crazy.
Look,
Isn't it
what I
amazing?
would do is to notify me though.
Yeah. Now some of these may be available, right? But that's where you're going to have to look at, like, maybe Office Max might not be sold out. So let's try them out.
Look at that. Who is using that Magnolia $1,500?
I
You
know.
bet
It's crazy,
having
isn't it?
a Zoom call with the president if you're using that thing. That's all I'm saying.
If I can sold out, sold out, sold out.
Oh, there are some there
Yeah.
though.
See, that one's
Look,
that was the
you just gotta find it. There's that
yeah.
one for $70.
Yeah, see, that's a good
Which,
deal.
hey,
That's a C that's a C
that's
that's
the same one.
uh,
That's the same one that you were looking at Best Buy that was whatever, $40. Oh,
no, this is was it? Was it the
it
same one?
looks the same.
Yeah.
It's actually the one that I'm using right now.
Oh, that's a C. Yeah, and those are good. So I'd add that puppy right to your cart and
Yeah.
sayonara, So you just kind of search. I would steer clear of Amazon, or at the very least, use Office Max, use Best Buy, use Walmart to help you be more educated about what the realistic price should be for those products.
Yeah.
So be very careful. Same thing for
Great
headsets.
point.
Headsets are a premium too, trying to get those.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is, if you kind of go in the gaming side of things, there's still a lot of divergence, and you can find some gaming headsets that you can get. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the logic of how I would approach it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you find that helpful or not, but that's kind of the conversation I've been having with clients a lot.
Yeah. And the last thing I will say is you could be saying, okay, but I don't have a webcam right now, and it's looking like it's going to take 2 weeks for it to show up, if not more, because of the supply and demand sort of thing. So what do I do in the meantime? I still want to be able to join meetings with people, but I'm trying to show them my computer and I can't talk on my computer. You could be saying all these things. The one thing that I would recommend is both Zoom and Teams. You can cheat the system and be in the meeting twice. What does that mean? It means that you connect with your phone. Okay, my eyes like freaking out. Connect with your phone and use that for audio. You can use that for audio and video if you'd like, and you can just set it up somewhere on your desk where you can see yourself and be able to talk clearly into it. But then you can also join with your computer. All you're going to have to do is mute and probably turn down the volume of your computer or your speakers if you have those, so that it's not doing a feedback system and it's only coming from your phone. So you would just have to mute everything on your computer and have it completely audio and video on your phone. But then you can share your screen and pull up stuff and be able to show people your computer, and they can still see you and they can still talk to you. So that's something that I would recommend for the people who don't have it right now or are waiting to get it, that kind of thing. But I would not recommend that for the long haul. That would be
Right.
so annoying to do all the time.
You happen to do a join like that, you can. They call it session ID in
Oh, I know
Zoom.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
So a session ID is like, I would be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Kaylee might be 4, 7, 8, 3, 2, 1. When you go to join, it says, "What's your session ID?" And I can say, "Oh, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6." And if I put that same session ID for both devices when they join in, they go, "Oh, that's the same person." So they don't show you in there twice.
Yeah.
Zoom does that, but I don't think Teams does.
No, I don't think so. But I know they're always upgrading. So if you go on there and you see that they can, don't come after us because they probably just updated it.
I almost spit it out my nose. I was drinking our water. That was a good one.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.